allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we're just asking you today to watch over this meeting, be with our citizens of this county as they go about their duties this week. Be with everyone who's got to be out in the heat today, and watch over all of us to have another safe week. In Jesus' name, amen.
Good morning, everybody. I will make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from last week.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Make a motion, we pay the claims in the amount of $586,481.52.
I'll second. Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Dave, you got anything right off the bat?
No.
All right, AMR.
Good morning, Don Brooks with AMR. I've got the AMR report from July 1st to July 13th. There were 7 calls in Blue Mound, 2 transports, 6 calls in Centerville, 2 transports, 12 calls in Lacine, 6 transports, 5 calls in Linn Valley, 2 transports, 9 calls in Mound City, 2 transports, 10 calls in Parker, 4 transports, 12 calls in Pleasanton, 7 transports, 1 call in Prescott, 0 transports, for a total of 62 calls and 25 transports. Any questions for us?
I don't know. I don't.
I don't.
Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you.
Randy?
Morning, Commissioners. Randy Hegwald, Linn County Emergency Preparedness and Rural Fire. Then out last week's call totals, we had 3 calls, brings our yearly total up to 308 for the year. We actually broke even last week. We had as many applications come in as we did calls, so that's good for us. Processing them, getting them out so we can get them interviewed. So that was a good week for us, short calls and applications coming in. Just a reminder, not this coming Thursday, but next Thursday will be the LEPC meeting. It's quarterly meeting, so I'll remind everybody again next week. Other than that, I have nothing for you guys. You guys have any questions?
No.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Jessica, yes?
Good morning, Commissioners. Jessica Hightower, Economic Development. The Economic Development Committee met on Tuesday. We had a couple of things come out of that meeting. First of all, you had asked us to look at the Historical Society budget and see where that landed. So for the last several years, you have budgeted $8,000 for each of the 5 museums for a total of $40,000 for the year. We've heard feedback that that wasn't enough for several of the museums for their operating expenses. And so the Economic Development Committee, we created a subcommittee. We heard from all the museums on Tuesday, and the Economic Development Committee would like to recommend that we increase the budget for each museum to $10,000 a year. So the total would be 50 if you were to approve that. And then we also would like to continue meeting with them quarterly with that subcommittee, see how that affects their operating and possibly make other changes next year if it's warranted.
You guys got any thoughts on it?
I sat in on that meeting with the economic development. I'm on that board, and I mean, they talked about that, and then they talked about even putting money in a fund. And
Yes, they talked about possibly doing that for 26, but not for 25 because we didn't have enough time to hash that out.
right.
For special events, maybe that the museums could tap into if we needed it.
I don't have a problem with it. I don't either.
Did they have any thoughts on, some of them being open way more than others, or?
No, the museums, they set those hours themselves. They did tell us, what hours they were open. Several of them are open by appointment anytime someone needs to. A few of them have regular hours. A lot of them have groups that come through, like scheduled tours and events, things like that, and that makes up a lot of their attendance for the year, are those groups.
Something that was brought up, I thought would be good if we had putting on a website where everybody knew exactly what was coming in from, if those groups came into one, to where we could tie it together, and every historical society could be involved in maybe getting a group to look at each and every one of them, and communicate that.
Putting their hours and their contact information on the county website.
So do you think this extra money will help them, kind of slingshot them, get them going again, or?
I think it will be a start. Yes.
They provided you guys with all the info,
Yes. They were all very, very responsive. They provided everything we asked for. We had all but one come to the meeting on Tuesday, but the one that didn't make it was able to provide all the information that we asked for. So
It was even brought up to me later in the week that, could we communicate with Fort Scott somehow to tie ours in with like the fort, to where if somebody come to this area,
could.
To make a weekend of the whole deal.
Yeah, we could.
To look at that, if that's what they was interested in, and communicate with Fort Scott, whatever else is around here to maybe make a weekend of it, of groups.
I think Florida Parks Museum would be interested in working with us. They're the ones that place the sign in front of the house.
And I don't know what it'd take, but whether we get a website or what, to.
It could just be another page on the county website if you wanted it to.
So beyond the budget, did you guys discuss where we would like the role, where we'd like to see them with roles and like sign replacement and things like that?
We did not get into this time because of our limited time frame, but that'll be a conversation for one of the quarterly meetings. Yes.
How did you said they designated a person to be there from each museum?
Each museum had a representative, except for Parker. They weren't able to make it on Tuesday, but I have contact information for all of them. So.
Are you looking for
So I don't know. I don't have David's budget form. I don't know if this is its own budget or if it's a line item in someone else's budget.
It's a kind of like a department within the general fund, so I've got sheets on it. But,
Okay.
if you guys are thinking that's going to be all right, I can get that sheet prepared for
Yeah. Fine with me. I'm good with it.
We also had a Linn County grant approved. This is our second one. This one's for Thomas and Connie Gore. The address is 18480 Mills Road. And this one is up to $500 reimbursement for painting the exterior of the home. They have to submit pictures of the original condition with their application, and then when they're completed, they submit pictures of the completed project. along with receipts, and the supplies have to be bought in Linn County to be reimbursed. So that's from that grant that we got from the Office of Rural Prosperity. We had discussed a couple of weeks ago about the airport budget. And Danny had asked about overlaying the runway. I reached out to KDOT, to the Department of Aviation. They said that we would have to do core samples to see how the base of the runway is holding up, and also do an evaluation of the surface. So when Chad McCullough was here last week after the meeting, he went over to the runway to look at it. He says that the base is in really good condition, that you would be able to tell because it would start to swag on the runway itself if the base was failing, and there are no swags on the runway. So the base is in good shape. There are a couple of, we did crack sealing, I think the year before last, on the runway. There's a couple of sprigs of grass coming up in there, and that's not really a big deal. We could probably in the next couple of years crack seal that again. But that it's in really good condition. The cracks are fairly minimal. They don't appear to be widening based on what the sealant looks like from when we crack sealed them before. And there's a noticeable crown on the runway, which helps the water slough off instead of pooling on the runway. So Chad does not think that it will do us any good to do core sampling or any of the work to overlay it in 2025. We could possibly look at it again for 26, but that's going to depend on, how the runway is used between now and then. He estimates $12,000 to $15,000 for doing the coring and the engineering, and then between $240 and $260 to do a 1.5-inch overlay with the correct mix for the runway, which is different than the roads. So that's not something that we need to do right now. If it would probably be a good idea to start, setting money back for that. So we're looking at maybe, as of right now, 275 tops based on his estimates for that project. And that might increase, depending on when we have to actually do the work based on the material costs. But it looks like we have 70,000 set back now for equipment reserve, which we could use on that project. I had requested 20,000 for the airport budget for 2025. I don't know if you would like to approve it at 20, or if you want to make changes based on Chad's response here.
You guys got any thoughts on it?
I think we need to be setting back more money if that's what an overlay is going to cost on the runway.
There's not really you have to do it every so often. It's more dependent on the condition of the runway itself.
We still don't really have a plan on what we're doing with splitting everything off or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. David, what would happen if we have the money set back there and we don't have to overlay the runway, and we have, let's say that we hit the end of our grant term and we're able to either close or get rid of the airport?
If we put money in equipment reserve, I track it by what it was put in there for and what department. However, the way the law reads on a equipment reserve fund, you can use that for anything. We've just always tried to be very careful and use it for what it was put in there for.
Right.
So if you got to a point that you had money set back in that you weren't going to need, it could be used for equipment in other places.
Okay.
you wouldn't be tied to airport for that.
And you came in a few weeks ago and you stated something that you talked to somebody about the airport grant if we got out of it. What was that? Can you say that if we got out of it, it was going to cost us how much?
So I don't have the numbers in front of me. I believe that we've received roughly 1.5 million in grant funds over the life of that airport from the state of Kansas. The runway has to remain public access for 10 years after the most recent grant, which was in 2019. If the runway is no longer public access, the county will be required to pay back a prorated portion of that grant amount. The indication was it would be the total grant amount if we do not leave it. Not that they would prorate a portion of the total grant, not necessarily just what's within the last 10 years. Does that make sense? So we wouldn't pay back the full 1.5, but we would pay back a prorated portion of the 1.
Do we know what that is?
No. It's likely that if we get to the point that, we have to overlay the runway, that KDOT would grant us money to do that. But again, we would be extending
Starting the
the
clock.
requirement of that 10-year period.
I think our first step is trying to figure out a plan, and which we still don't have.
We had talked about having it surveyed to remove the runway from the agricultural land. Did you guys approve that? I don't remember.
I don't think there was ever any action on it. We talked about it.
I'm in favor of it.
I am too.
Of the split up?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
So do we need a motion then to get the survey to start that process?
I think that'd be where I'd want to start and move forward. I'm not in favor of approving any budget for it until we get a plan together, really. I feel like that's the reason we're in the position we are in it with it.
So in the hope in doing that split was that we would be able to get a tax exemption for a portion of that property, and then that would lower our tax liability.
How long will it take us to get all that,
The survey company, I reached out to Allen Brandrews because they did the original survey and the plat of the lots out there, so they have all the information already. They're out of Paola. They thought 3 weeks after we gave them the go-ahead is when they would be able to get to it. I don't know when it would be finished.
Is there any way we can get what that prorated amount would be for the grant?
They would not give me I tried. They would not give me a number.
So just looking at timing, if we did have 1.5 million in grants and the last one was 19, and I don't know that they would go straight by how many years, but if you were next year, that would be like 6 years of it. And if you had to pay 40% back, that'd be $600,000.
Yep.
But like I say, that's just a quick calculation. I don't know what their formula is on how they calculate.
I really don't know that they've had an airport that closed their runway within the time frame, so I think that was also part of their reluctance to give me a number.
I know Gary had done some preliminary work on looking at trying to split that part off. And I don't know for sure.
We talked about it with Mark as well.
Yeah.
And Mark thought that we would possibly qualify for an exemption for parts of it if we were able to split that off.
But as for the process of getting it done, you're over my head on that one. I don't know what it would take.
I wouldn't know how to go about doing the exemption request either. I think Mark was going to handle that after we got the survey done.
Did you raise your hand? Did you?
know how to do that exemption process through the appraiser's office.
Yeah.
And so it takes, right now, the state of Texas is pretty bad. We're looking at 6 months probably before we'll even need the exemption. So the sooner you do it, the better.
Yeah, and I don't think, like I said, with Lisa's help, the exemption part, I don't think would be a big deal. It's actually doing the split that I've never done anything like that. I don't know how to get that done.
Well, and Darren does lot splits quite often, so he would know the process to do with Christie about getting all the deeds filed and everything. But it starts with having the survey done. This will be kind of a group effort.
It's been a long time coming, I think. That's where I'm at. I'm in favor of getting going on that, yeah.
Okay.
Is that what you guys think?
Fine.
I'll make a motion that we get a survey to try to get started on the splitting and exemptions on the airport.
I'll second. Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I would like to know, do you want to take that out of equipment reserve? We don't have that built into the budget for this year. I think it's less than $4,000. I don't have the number in front of me.
I don't know if that one would really qualify that well for equipment reserve, but we have contingency money.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. And then I need 5 or 10 minutes of executive session for personnel when you have time.
In addition to that, that's what Lisa was here for too. That was a late thing I added to the agenda this morning, so she needs a few minutes from.
How much do you need?
Just 5 minutes.
So we can go in with Lisa for 5 minutes for personnel, and then we'll bring Jessica in the second 5 minutes for a total of 10 minutes.
Did you want to do the sheriff's report before you go in to just wrap that up, or?
It doesn't, I mean,
That's all I had for you, commissioners. Thank you.
so the weekly sheriff report is total prisoners in is 6912 released this past week. 1 farmed out, 48 farmed in, 96 911 calls, 4,382 jail contacts, 459 calls for service, 25 civil service papers, 4 VIN inspections, 14 new cases opened, 6 closed, 5 vehicle crashes, no SRO activity, summer break, 162 bailiff contacts, and 3 livestock out. I'll make a motion that we go in executive session for personnel, 5 minutes with Jessica, or with Lisa, and then directly after that, we'll bring Jessica in for 5 minutes, returning at 9:33.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we are back in session and we do have a little bit of action. We were presented with a letter of resignation for Jessica. And I will make a motion that we accept her resignation letter. And her last day will be August 9th, I believe. That's my motion.
I'll second.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are you abstaining, right?
Yes.
All right.
So just for getting through the rest of things, I did, if you notice, marked off budgets for me toward the end. I did not get any more ready for today. So I won't have anything to give you on that today. I am working on getting the county budget put together with what I have, and we've still got several things to wrap up before I can finalize it. So.
All right. Sean, looks like we're ready for it.
Sean West, Public Works Administrator. Burns and McDonald, on behalf of Evergy, reached out to me and requested a meeting with the commissioners to discuss what they need to do to move forward with their project. I put their notes on here. The construction contractor provided the following statement regarding the list of permit requirements. We feel we are in compliance and installed all conduit to date. As such, per plans, please let us know if there are any areas that you would like us to investigate. By route, this project is around 95% complete. And they want to know at this point whether you're willing to meet with them to discuss how to move the project forward. I gave them the same list of requirements direct from the permit that I did the other companies, and that is the response that I received.
And that was from Barnes McDonald, you said?
On behalf of Evergy, yes.
I mean, what are they? We looked at their as-bills and none of us.
That was, we don't have as-bills from Evergy, do we?
Barnes and McDonald's tried to send me 2 copies, and I've sent them both back because I was unable to open their formatting, and told them as such, trying to get those to us. But I did send them the simple direction, give us the areas in which you're out of compliance, and listed the compliance requirements from the permitting in the email, same as I did with QuickCom. QuickCom said they understood, working on completing that. Barnes and McDonald's got with their contractor, and this is the response they sent. Obviously, in my opinion, we're in disagreement about their compliance with the contractor.
Well, just like here it states on section B here, all parallel installation must be 15 feet from the road center line or 5 feet from the edge of the roadway, whichever is greater.
Correct.
So how can it be, I mean, when it's in our road right away?
That is why I would say that we are in complete disagreement with that statement. Although they want to come in and meet at this point, I believe if you'd like to set up a date with them, the only thing I can do to point out those discrepancies is to go measure out those areas, bring those to that meeting and show them exactly what we're talking about.
Why we feel like they're out of compliance.
That's correct. I
think
don't
that
know.
has to be our next.
I don't know another way to resolve this through email when I'm talking to a person who's talking to a third party who's talking to someone that's not talking to us.
I'm not opposed to meeting them on site and physically showing them what's going on. I mean, are you guys?
I'm not.
Would you guys be
I
opposed to
don't, I
meeting them
don't
out
think we
there?
need to spend a lot of time ourselves going out and seeing where they're at. They got to prove to us where they're at. That's the way I look at it.
Okay.
Why do we need to go to the expense of, I mean, we can go look at it, don't get
I
me
mean,
wrong, but I don't,
I agree.
why do we have to be?
Would you guys be opposed to just picking out a site, meeting them there on a date and saying, hey, this is what our concerns are and this
Here,
is
look at
pretty-
this.
Yeah, it's pretty consistent throughout your guys' route.
If you'd like me to get with David and set a time up for that late in a meeting so we can move to the site and meet them there, then I'll make arrangements for that in a future meeting.
I'm good with that.
I'm good with that. I don't think we'll get a whole lot done in here just talking about it. I think we should have to prove our points and move forward from there.
That's what I'll do. Culvert bids. The foremans assist us in qualifying the bids. Contact came in at 85, 628, 76, and would be the recommended bid at this time. I believe that because these purchases are dealing with the not only replacement of culverts that are have been neglected or through storm damage and identified by those, that we need to pull from the north and the south capital outlay to maintain budget integrity for this year with this type of purchase.
What did we do? What was our total last year? Do you remember?
Our total,
Culvert bids? Was it around 70?
I couldn't give you an exact for last year.
Didn't we send out twice?
We did 2 bids last year, or 2 purchases, and I expect after this purchase that there could possibly be another. I do know that we're going to go, and I've got the 900 road project to talk to you about as well, but I do expect other purchases to come in, or at least one more round this year. So the budget line item for that is going to be spent up, and we won't receive reimbursement for some time on a lot of these. So at this point, I would think it'd be prudent to pull it from capital outlay on the north and south shop.
It was 85,628.76.
That is correct.
And what company did you say?
Contact.
What do you guys anticipate in your second order would be around 85,000 again or no?
I don't believe it'll be nearly as high, but it'll have to cover specific diameters. Normally, once we identify them, I believe this one is this high because there are several large tube sizes that we've identified, but I believe we'll end up doing smaller purchases later in the year, quite possibly.
So I look back in last year's minutes. At one point, there was approval for 41,676.29 from Wellborn Sales. And then later in the year, there was another one from Wellborn Sales for 40,626.38. So you're at what?
82,000.
82 between the two of them last
Right.
year.
You guys got any thoughts on it? How much of this, so how much of this 85 are you anticipating being flood money or damage?
There's no way to know that until we go through and do the assessments with an auditor that comes on site. They've only done preliminary at this point, and we haven't had a second visit from them.
But we don't have like a map that says, hey, this was potentially from the storm.
We are building that map as we replace all those. We did major storm damage, but we did not go through and have time to note every one of these items. And that would be something that we could track and replace through the reimbursement. If I'm correct, David, as that reimbursement came back in, it could be channeled towards that capital outlay reimbursement.
Yeah.
$85,000. I mean, how many tubes will that buy? Or how many installs is that? I mean, I know they go by linear foot, but how many tubes is that? Roughly. $120.
And then the bands to go with that. But as far as the installs go, the reason you would band them is because you need longer sections. So you could be using 2 pipes per section or a pipe and a half, and then again, banding the other half to another project.
Some of these tubes, we actually sell some of these tubes, right? I mean, if it's in a driveway.
Per entrances, yes.
If it's a new entrance.
New entrances would be
Tube, and then we put a load of rock and install it or something.
correct. There'd be an entrance and a tube fee for those.
The new entrances, that's what it is.
Like I stated here a few weeks ago, I know we have to have culverts, but our ditches aren't even working, so why have culverts? I don't know. We don't have a plan for it. We don't know how many we're going to, needing to replace, wanting to replace, how much the storm's going to cover.
Didn't we ask them to make the roads ready when they came through there? Don't they have to have the culverts to make them
Well, yeah.
a finished product like we asked?
Yeah, I agree.
But are we cleaning the ditches out before we put the culverts in? So I guess what Danny's asking, that's what I'd like to know. Make sure the ditch is clean before we put the new culvert in to plug it right back up.
And if a ditch isn't cleaned, if a ditch isn't, flowing correctly, do we just take the tube out, dig it down, put it in there, and then dig out on each side of it, and the water just kind of sets there and rots the tube out? How do we? I just feel like that we're not moving forward with our plan. So
I can tell you on the north end, you've seen the ditching projects that they've done. I showed you photographs of those. The south end, I'll later tell you that they're working on ditching projects, moving dirt back onto a property owner so that we can clear our ditch before a fence line goes in. And we've had several other requests to do it, but these culverts are the culverts they've identified that need replaced in order to facilitate that water movement. we can work out the ditches and we can continue to work on those. But if we don't have the culvert pipe, we can't complete the project. It's not going to move past
I understand.
whatever obstruction.
So we have to have it, it's a necessity, but I'm just trying to prove my point here. I think we need to have a designated crew that's all they do. They don't do anything else, and they clean ditches out, install the culverts. Who installs the culverts right now?
Each shop in their area is responsible for installing culverts in their area.
You guys got any thoughts?
I added that up right from the list. That's 138 culverts that's on the list with them. And then a bunch of bands to go with that too.
I don't see how they can fix the roads if we don't give them the materials they need to fix the roads.
I mean, I agree. They have to have the materials, but first it starts with a plan where we all understand, I think.
Well, I think your saying, Danny, is when we put the culvert in, we want to make sure what drainage we've got to get to that instead of just sticking the culvert in.
Yeah, and then the
And
water,
then going and cleaning the ditches out and have a pool of water sitting on one side of the culvert.
and yeah, rotting the bottom of the culvert out, water sitting there, and yeah, exactly. And our shops, are they against putting designated people in, 2 people, 3 people together and making a crew to just do this type of stuff?
I couldn't answer that. We haven't discussed, or I haven't discussed with them putting specialty crews for different things, and they manage those per area in their area. That way it's under that shop foreman's discretion, and he gets to supervise that project to make sure it's completed to where he can answer and be held accountable for those projects.
It just goes back, I think we got to fix the problem before we continue to move forward. So just like putting gravel down and not grading the road, putting the gravel down in front of the grader instead of letting the grader do his thing and then coming in and putting gravel. So I just feel like we keep running in circles on exactly how we're going to do this. So I mean, I don't think it's too much to ask to have a designated crew. That's all they do in each shop is work on, work orders and things like that, installing culverts.
The logistics of it is something as far as what that crew would need, where they draw that pipe, and where they draw that manpower is something that I don't know that we have worked out or have even planned for.
Well, I mean, as Jesse had stated last week, him and Todd are doing 2 totally different things at their shops, which I get, Todd doesn't have a skid steer. So, that was the time I'd want him to come in and say, hey, we need to lease a skid steer to make this work. I mean, I'm in favor of that. It's all not making sense to me, and I keep getting phone calls, so. I don't know, do we write it down on a piece of paper and tell them the plan and then ask them to execute it and then come back and tell us why it doesn't work or why it did work? I don't know. I mean, it's like I had called you and talked to you last week about the dirt being flipped over on the backside, which will eventually just run right back into the ditch. That was someone that kind of wasn't very happy about it, but I think it's gotten taken care of, but I don't think it should have happened to begin with, and it did, so. I don't know, any suggestions, help up here? Do a lot of talking, and they,
Well, Danny, just like last week, I guess we'll go here. We got told last week, Sean, that budget preparation wasn't part of their job duties. Could you read their job duties there? Would you read the job duties to the supervisors?
Budget, assisting with budget preparation is listed in the job foreman.
So you knew that then last week.
I couldn't have quoted their job description last week.
Well, could you read the job duties so everybody knows what goes on there? It's right, it's stated right there in that paper.
It says it on there.
Okay. Did you relay that to your supervisors?
That they assist with that? They have. They've assisted me with
That's not what was told last week right here in front of everybody. If that was going to happen, it was going to take more money. I remember the quote, wasn't that it, Nanny?
yeah, I think so, yeah.
They've assisted in completing a 3 to 5 year equipment plan.
It's not what they told me. Yeah, that's in there too, the equipment plan, but I'm saying the budget right there. They told us that wasn't part of their job.
They've assisted with the 3 to 5 year equipment plan. They've assisted with other budget items such as major road projects, equipment losses, and manpower needs that assist me in doing those things and completing that budget.
Make a motion, we go in executive session for 15 minutes for non-elected personnel, Dan.
You gonna do that right now?
Yeah, right now.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session for 15 minutes for non-elected personnel, coming back at 10:13.
I'll second.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 This just the three of you or me too, or what are we doing?
Yeah, 3 of us is okay for now.
We have no action. Sean, you want to go ahead and continue?
The next thing I have is high-risk rural roads. Unless you want to finish addressing the culverts.
What do you guys think? What's your input? I've said what I needed to.
I think they need the culverts. That's where I still stand.
I'd say you're right, Danny. We do need the culverts, but we ought to have a game plan on how we're putting them in, I guess. You know, before we just go put them in and don't have the ditches cleaned out. I don't think we should be putting them in until we,
I agree.
pardon me?
I said, I agree. Yeah, you're right. That's. I'll make a motion that we approve the bid with contact for the 138 culverts at $85,628.76. I'd also like to see a plan of action with that too, not just installing them. I'd like to see ditches cleaned out around them if we're going to install them, and so on. So that's my motion.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? You say you have another bid that'll be coming in? Or you'll be sending out for another bid probably?
I anticipate that. I don't have one. I can't tell you when or if it will come in, but at the pace that we're going with the damage that we're finding, I anticipate the possibility.
I just asked that before we approve this, the second bid, if there is one, or the second purchase, that we have evidence of what we're doing with the culverts when they're being installed. That's all I ask in a plan. So
If you'd like, it can't be next week because I have other things scheduled, but if you'd like 2 weeks from now, before these culverts are delivered, I will put a plan of action and meet with the foremans and give you the written directions on how we're going to install those and what each tube installation and ditching around that should look like.
I'm good with it.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, the high-risk rural roads is the 1095 project south of 1650. This mirrors the project north of 1650 to 152. The grant total is $474,000. Our portion is $104,000. You asked me to reach out and find out what the preparation for that grant would be, the patching and things prior to, estimating the same as what it would be for Wall Street in the completion of the same or similar amount of miles. We're looking at adding about $30,000 to our portion of that.
Is that outsourced or in-house?
That was outsourced on Wall Street. But this would complete the 1095 project from 1100 or 1150 all the way to 152.
And I think we waited on this 1 week I was gone and then Jason was gone after that. So
Yes, we've had 2 extensions on this. And we're weeks late behind it, but we have been assured if we have a decision today that the monies are still available.
What do you guys think?
It's a treacherous stretch of road that I think would benefit from us giving it a little attention.
I know the sheriff weighed in his opinion on it too, and he thought so too. And our portion of the fund is going to be coming from where, David?
That's
Special roads.
Special road and bridge.
Yes.
You guys got anything else on it?
I don't know.
What are we calling the? What are we calling it, Sean? The rural road?
High-risk rural roads.
I'll make a motion that we approve the high-risk rural roads grant for
$474.
474,000, and our matching is 104. You said,
Yes.
with an additional $30,000 to outsource for the
Road prep.
road prep. That's my motion.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And this will start when? 2025? 26.
Commissioners, while we're talking about road prep and asphalt projects, you may have noticed last week on Wall Street that the prep began and was completed for that asphalt overlay, which we're being told, bar any other issues, will happen this week. So the second half of Wall Street will be completed this coming week, unless there are any delays, and then we will be notified. We will put out today a notice to the public on the notice system or notification system, telling them that this project's going to occur. It will create long delays because of the curves and the safety factors in this. So we're going to try to give as much notification as we can give, but we were notified late in the process of when this was going to occur. You also have a permit application for the 900 road project. It was sent to us very late last week, and as you could probably tell, I was ill part of last week and didn't get this out in your packet or early enough. This is the discussion of the 900 road and the 2-2 project. You should have got it this morning.
Oh, is it the pictures or whatever it was?
There should be 4 documents. One's a diagram, And the other 3 documents are the permit application.
Okay. So you refresh, it's out there.
Came through as JPEGs, I think. It's the one, yeah. The ones I just added once we got here this morning.
Okay.
Well, I think that's, yeah.
It's under what?
So it's those top 4.
Oh, these are,
This is a copy of it. And this is the permit application that you spoke with Call Valley's engineer about for the waterway on 900 with the 2 tubes and the separation between the 2 tubes. This is the first part of that process in getting the permit. All I'm asking is that you give consent for myself or Jessica to sign the permit and send it on.
so just proposing to take the 10 foot, make it 11 foot and bury them a foot in the gravel and overlay over the top of it. That's really all it is, right?
Yes.
Do we have a price on the culverts?
We have not priced the culverts yet. That's the next.
So this is just applying for the permit for us to start moving forward to fixing this road.
That's correct.
Should we reach out to contact the people we just ordered culverts from and ask them what they have?
As part of that process, we can ask, but if the price comes over the point at which we have to rebid it, we'll have to rebid it. I can't tell you what the answer to that will be at this point. Commissioner, I'm going to let Jessica finish this and another line item with you while I take care of a drink and clear my throat.
You guys agree with this?
I am.
I am too.
I'll make a motion that we allow Call Valley Engineering to submit this permit application to the Army Corps of Engineering.
I'll allow Sean or Jessica to sign.
With the approval process, allow Jessica or Sean to approve and keep it moving forward.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Next up, we have propane bids that were due on Friday. We have 4 of them. These are for the 2024-25 winter season.
For what? What did we ask for on this? Do we ask all our departments to let us know, or how do we do that?
So Joyce actually goes through what we've ordered in the last year to estimate how much we're going to order in the future. We have kept a running total in the last 3 or 4 years. I believe we bid up to 13,000 gallons this year.
C&J Propane from Liberal, Missouri. Bids for Linn County at $1.35 per gallon.
D&D propane from Humboldt, so $1.49.
MFA oil is $1.58 a gallon, and fuel gas is $1.32 per gallon.
I will take those back and we will qualify those this week. Sean's not back yet, so I'm just going to keep going down his list unless you want it. You want it back? Okay.
Cost summary by task and cost summary by task location have been sent out to you. One 24 to current, we have received 333 service requests. 51 of those are currently still open. 282 have been closed. 7/8 to 7/12, we received 10 service requests. We closed 7 and 3 are currently open. Active cost report from 4/27/24, our activity cost reports from 4/27/24 flood event to current date. We have worked 762 roads out of 1,275, which results in 60% of those roads being worked. South Shop Foreman, ditching on 300 near Montgomery, grading, mowing hard surface roads in preparation for noxious weed spraying. They have fought several issues with mowers going down, and we also have 2 trucks that are down in that shop. North Shop, regular road maintenance, road grading, replaced 4 culverts on main roads that were failing. 1 driveway culvert, started ditching on 1800 heading west from Young Road, and got about a quarter mile of that done. Last week, I spoke to you about some pricing for temporary signage during emergencies. That signage would be used during flood events or other incidents such as road sloughing, culvert damage, or similar to the 900 road incident where we had failures. that temporary signage through a local shop and the apparatus used to hold that signage total would be $9,918. I believe this would greatly improve our response to those things and those incidents, make it safer for the public, and cost us a lot less in man hours and time to get around flood events, to go to the shop, to drag trailers out to these areas, as these items could be all carried in the trucks with the foremans and the people that get called out for these incidents like myself. We could be able to have signage up in a much faster rate to protect the public.
How many signs and posts is that?
That's 30 of the posts or apparatuses to hold the posts or signs, and the signage themselves looks like that would be 12 each of the following signs, 4 per shop. Slow bump, dip, rough road, flood area, head, high water, and 12 caution signs.
So let's eliminate, I mean, just be something our sign guy would go do each time, or what? I mean, what is it?
This is when we get called out for emergencies in the middle of the night. This is not something that the sign guy would deal with until the next morning when we had to put up something more permanent. These are just temporary signage for emergencies so that the person that gets called out doesn't have to drive around the flood event to get to the shop, to get barricades or other things, and then drive back around it to mark the backside of the event. It basically takes us twice the time and twice the mileage to get around the event, grab the necessary tools, and to get back around to the locations where we need these items at. And some of these items that we have aren't flood friendly should the waters pick up after that event, if they're placed anywhere near the flood waters.
You guys got any thoughts on it?
I'm okay with doing it.
Jim?
Okay with it, I guess. You? What do you think?
I mean, as long as it's gonna make their lives easier, it's gonna get done faster, and we're gonna use them, I'm okay with it, I guess.
So these would also assist the fire department. We've called out the road and bridge numerous times. That allows them to get there quicker, where we can release trucks that are normally blocking the roads, releases them to get other places or to send those guys home. So it does benefit other departments. It would benefit the fire department.
I'm okay with it.
I'll make a motion that we purchase the temporary signage for use during emergencies in the amount of $9,918.
I'll second. Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
If you'd like, I'll finish out the rest of the agenda, or we can go to the budget items, or hold them to the end.
Probably hold those to the end.
Okay?
Don't you guys agree?
I do.
I think it'll be a much needed discussion, so. Is that all you had, Sean?
No, I've got a few other things for you. Spraying buildings occurred last week, and Johnson grass during the afternoon. The senior center, the door I'm being told should be in this week, as well as a mop board up, electrical outlets and GFIs by the middle of the week. 2 loads of appliances or furniture was taken over. We basically have to meet with them and go through the kitchen items that will and won't be moved. There'll be a lot of items because it's not a commercial kitchen that won't be moved over, that I'll have to inventory and bring back to you and find a disposal method for. But basically, we're cleaning up the punch list, hoping we get the door this week and trying to come up with a final move plan. You should have been given cost for the software and the gates for the park. And we can do that during budgets as well. The only thing I had left would be that the road foreman were able to interview Stephen Marsh this week, and we would like to offer him a position as a part-time seasonal mower in the south shop at $12.74.15.
Can we wait and do that during this next discussion? Or do you want to do that now?
That's up to you.
What do you guys?
Take care of it, Edwin.
Stephen Marsh at 12.74.15, you said?
Correct.
It'll be a part-time mower in the south.
South shop.
I'll make a motion that we hire Stephen Marsh for the South Shop as a part-time mower at 12.7415.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's all I had till budget.
Southeast Kansas Mental Health, you guys want to present budgets? Actually, can we go ahead? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can I go ahead and are you guys in a hurry? Can I do public comment really quick? So at this time, we'll open up the public comment. If you have anything to say, please come up, state your name and what you have to say.
Tom Kemper, Parker, District 3. I've been coming here probably the last 7 or 8 meetings, and I'm getting disappointed in what you guys are trying to do. I'm just going to start with last week on the mowing. Obviously, these guys are saying we don't have anybody putting the tractor. What's that tell you? Need to pay a little bit more? You heard these guys say we got nobody applying. Okay? We got tractors and mowers broke down. Are our tractors and mowers old? I don't know. Have we thought about buying or upgrading this equipment? Now, some of you up there ask about whatever we got to do, but yet you also want to be revenue neutral. You don't want to raise any taxes. You want them to get the same amount of work done. Okay? I'm hearing complaints from some of you about all this road ditching. I think I read the other day there was, $4 million worth of road damage in this county, and you guys expect this road department, with the people that they have, with no additional equipment and no additional hours, you expect this work to get done? What do you guys breathe at night? What do you smoke at night? Okay? It's ridiculous. Okay? You had guys last week telling you, of course you couldn't hear it because they weren't directed to come to the podium. That's your job. Okay? David finally brought a microphone so everybody in the county could hear it. Okay. You guys might want to think about listening to them. You're spending all kinds of time telling them what they're not doing. My mom and dad told me when I had a problem, if I didn't have a solution to my complaint, then I'm part of the problem. Why don't you guys figure out what you need to do to help these people? You've lost 2 or 3 lawyers. You lost another good employee today that's not going to have the answers for you when you ask a silly question next week about some number, because she's not going to be working here. How many more employees are going to leave before you guys finally figure out, come up with a different method? Quit complaining, come up with solutions that work, or get off. Come up with an answer. Listen to these. Most of these guys and gals, they want to do their jobs. Most of them. I realize not all of them are great. That's the way it is in every business. Okay. However, most of them are going to try to do a good job. Most of them are going to try to figure out how to do something with nothing. I think you guys need to look in the mirror at home and figure out what you can do to help instead of hinder. That's all for now.
Mike White, Mound City. I'm going to follow that bluster there with a suggestion for you guys that, some time ago, it's not been that long ago, the suggestion was made, I believe by Jim, but I don't remember, the potential of contracting out some of the road and bridge work. Danny, you indicated earlier that you'd like to see a crew that was designated for the opening the ditches up and potentially culvert replacement. So that particular work might be really suited to finding a contractor, trying to go out on bids, find somebody to open those ditches up and do it right. Because just like what you said earlier, Danny, about somebody had opened the ditch and put the spoil on the landowner's side, and I've seen that myself, and that doesn't work. That spoil pile will be in there in 6 months, right back in the ditch. I don't know if, we have a lot of committees for a lot of different things, but this might be one that if you put together a group, maybe you could get some of the local contractors that, and concerned citizens in on that maybe you come up with a plan, what you would like to see done based on some recommendations from the commissioners, and let them help you decide whether contracting it is worthwhile or not. Because for whatever reason, this work isn't getting done, and I don't know why. I don't think you guys do either. Thank you.
Right.
Pat Huntley from Pleasanton. Okay, City of Pleasanton went to assigning crews for specific tasks, and it worked out very, very well. Okay, that's my thought on that. Also, I am running for sheriff, as many of you know, and I've had a county employee following me around as I put my political signs up. And then subsequently, pretty quick, the signs disappear. So it makes me wonder what the heck's going on. I don't think it's a good use of county funds to have an employee follow me around. So
I think that's probably something you should talk to the sheriff's department about, probably. I mean, I'd take that be as theft, wouldn't it? I don't think that's,
yeah,
I think you'd have to deal with them on that.
they don't care. It's their employee. Thank you.
Can I say one more thing I forgot? I didn't use my 5 minutes.
Come on up, tell us what we're not doing.
Okay.
Go ahead.
One other thing that I've heard out of you three is I hear comparisons for Douglas County, and I hear Crawford County. And I realize we got, urban sprawl, blah, 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 blah. We want to know how we're going to fix this. Well, if we don't know the answers, why don't we copy a county that's closer to our budget level and our population level, whether we're rural, okay? Douglas County's 120,000 people. Crawford County, I don't know, what's Crawford County, 40,000 people. They got a big college, but their budgets are totally different. And one thing I'm just thinking, you got a county just straight north of here. That's 2 major highways. Got urban sprawl coming here. Got a huge water district that's going to allow growth in the future. Why don't we look at some of the stuff they're doing? Because they're having this, they have already had the problems that Johnson County had years ago. We are going to have a lot of those same problems that they had. So why wouldn't we copy them until we come up with something better? Just a thought.
I don't know why you didn't put your name on the ballot. You got it all figured out.
Well, that's for you if you like.
No, I'd rather you not.
Well, I was just gonna say, if you want to solve the mowing problem, why don't you take Monday morning off and go mow? Because we can still do the job with 2.
Yeah. Good idea.
Once you get such a problem.
All right, anybody else got any public comment?
Yeah, and not for public, just to add on, where was it? One of the suggestions about contracting out some of the work. I think it was Mike said something. I did have someone contact me this weekend, local person that is interested if you decide to move in that direction.
All right, Nathan, you guys ready?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Nathan Fossen, CEO of Southeast Kansas Mental Health, and having this last year merged with Ashley Clinic as well. Appreciate the opportunity to present before the County Commission, Linn County, requesting our budget funds for this forthcoming year equal to $123,831 in mill levy support for 2025. With that, I'd also just again like to describe the array of services we offer, the critical function we play within the community as the safety net behavioral health provider for Linn County. We offer 24/7 crisis services, including therapy, case management, a variety of community-based services, also psychiatry and chemical abuse counseling. We've, within recent years, by way of grant funding, been able to further grow, develop our services, and with that, a commitment to better provide whole person care, whereby we build upon our expertise as behavioral health providers and also assess and support the physical health care needs of those we support. Thus, our relationship with Ashley Clinic and helping us in that regard. We also appreciated opportunity a few months ago as we presented before the County Commission to focus on how we could enhance the depth and types of crisis services within Linn County. We've been very collaboratively working with law enforcement in both training them and them training us on how we could better work together to both prevent individuals from falling into mental health crisis and or when they're now under law enforcement involvement, better supporting them through their mental health needs. And we've, as an example, talked through how we could even provide not only some mobile crisis services alongside them, whereby our staff potentially even ride along with them to support those individuals in crisis need, but even to provide services within the jail setting, looking at how we could better accomplish that. We've historically provided those in-jail services either in the form of telehealth therapy and or in-person therapy, and would strive to enhance what we could do there. Any questions for me as it relates to our services or all of the above?
How does this budget request compare to last year's?
This is quite equal to what we requested last year. Same amount or?
I think it was 117, I think, wasn't it?
3% increase.
Was that approved though?
No, the approved amount last year was much less.
What was your approved amount?
Yeah, 68,000, I believe, was the approved amount.
I think our biggest concern or decision making on that was because you guys, the telehealth and whatnot, you guys had moved to that and we thought it would be cheaper, right? Is that kind of a good description of why we?
I think it had to do with the fact that when we started looking, much like we have kind of with Trico, that we're paying an unproportionate amount compared to the other counties involved.
Do you have the numbers of the other counties that the clients and the?
Other county funding requests are Allen County closer to 170, Neosho County the same. Bourbon County request is similar to what we've asked of Linn County. Anderson County also similar.
Your request versus what it was last year, though, I guess is is it you're requesting more this year from everybody?
Correct. We've across the board requested a 3% increase to account for both inflation as well as our increased level of services.
From your actual budget last year, from what your actual request, what you received from everybody last year, you added 3% to it, is what you're saying?
Yes.
What did Anderson County give you?
Anderson County has not yet voted or approved their budget request, but the amount we asked of them was quite close to that which we're asking of Linn County as well.
And how many clients are you seeing there?
In Anderson County?
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and review that. As indicated here on this fact sheet, within Linn County, last year we served 800 clients. The other thing I clarify is that the funding the county offers, we allocate toward serving those that otherwise have no ability to pay. As a safety net provider, we set our fees equal to household ability to pay, even waiving fees as needful. And in so doing, we rely then on county supports to subsidize or support those individuals that otherwise have inability to pay for those services. As an example of the more than 800 clients we've served within Linn County last year, 244 of those had no payer source or ability to pay, and as such, we relied on county funding to.
And how much was that?
The dollar amount I don't have, just the number of clients served equaling about 25% of those that we overall serve.
So if somebody comes to you and says they can't pay for it, you guys, the funds that we allocate towards you guys pays for it?
Yes.
They don't get any bill in the mail.
Depending on their ability, we sliding scale set their fee. So if they're household income is such that they can afford X percentage of what our charge is, then we charge them accordingly. If they're under hardship and can demonstrate that, then there are those instances where we waive the fee altogether.
Would you be able to provide us with that number? Is that an issue?
Sure.
Right. No, I understand.
Sure.
I'm just, okay. I would like it.
I always heard there was a waiting, you were on a waiting list there. Is that true? I know we talked about that once too. I mean, to get into your guys' program.
Historically, there have been delays in initiating services with us. We've greatly enhanced that by way of bringing on additional providers. So the wait list today, we're able to provide same-day access, whereby if you or any community member were to call requesting our services, we could either offer that within the Linn County office, Pleasanton office, and or if necessary, connect them via telehealth to another provider within the Linn County office, whereby they wouldn't have to go to another office to receive that support. Now, there continues to be, on the subject of waiting lists and delays, there continues to be delay in state hospital admissions. And local law enforcement could help tell that story as well, whereby a role we play is that of assessing one's inpatient needs and coordinating accordingly. And if we determine they need inpatient at a private or state hospital facility, we then quite commonly experience delays in supporting them and getting there. Those delays could range anywhere from a day to a week before a bed opens up, during which time our crisis support staff are there to ensure their safety, offer whatever supports we can, alongside even law enforcement and or our local emergency rooms.
Have you had any further developments with the crisis support? We had somebody from your office talk to us about.
Brian Cook.
Correct.
Correct. Yes, so he spoke of how we could enhance our collaboration with law enforcement.
Right.
Just some examples he provided was that of riding along with them. Within the last couple of weeks, we've done more of that, whereby our crisis team, which consists of 4 therapists plus 12 case managers to serve our 6-county area. Our crisis team and case managers have actively ridden along with law enforcement. So in addition, we're also providing law enforcement and local community organizations what we refer to as mental health first aid training, whereby we're educating the community, those in those service positions, on how to better detect and support those who may be in mental health need, and with that, strengthening their ability to respond more appropriately. But to the ride-along point, we're now actively riding along with law enforcement to better learn their process, better understand, so that we can support those that they're actively responding to.
So how much involvement in the actual jail do you guys have? If there's somebody that has mental health and needs to see you guys, do you guys have somebody that goes in there and sees them?
Yes. We've arranged that historically to be either in person or via telehealth.
And how often do you guys do that? I mean, you got any stats on that?
Oh, the quantity thereof, I'd have to research. But we can relay that back to you as well. The value therein is that naturally those who are in jail are in a stressed situation, and upon release from jail, if we have a supportive relationship with them, we now have opportunity to support them thereafter helping them develop their personal goals and plans to progress within their situation. Whereas otherwise, they may be at greater risk of reoffending whatever the offense may have been without the appropriate level of support. It's often characterized that our jails so frequently are protecting individuals who very much need mental health support, and yet due to various funding limitations and otherwise, they lack that support. And so we look at this as an opportunity to better serve them and better relationship with them in ways that upon their release, they have a connection and a trust and a respect for the types of supports we can offer them.
A 3% increase over last year's budget would be raising it to $70,040 over the $68,000 we did last year. I'd like to look at the hardship numbers before we made any.
Yeah,
I would too.
Yeah, I'd like to see what you guys provide to Allen. You know, all the other counties compared to us and what they pay. And
We'd be happy to do so. And do we present that to David?
Yep.
That'd be fun.
Yes.
Okay.
You guys got any more questions for him?
I don't.
And if you would like me to return and present on anything, please let me know. Be happy to do so.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you.
I got a message from Chris that our next person that wanted to
Thank you.
present by Zoom is logged into the Zoom now. It was just going to be voice, I think.
Okay.
So I don't know. Oh, okay. Yeah, I see her on there. So
So it's Sherry she's with the East Central Kansas Area of Aging.
That's correct.
Sherry, can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
just unmuted.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Sherry, can you hear us?
Yes, we can. Can you hear us? Hello?
I don't know how he's got it set, but we're not hearing her.
Sherry, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
See Jennifer, she can hear us, but can't hear her. So that's gonna have to get a microphone.
Go ahead.
We can, or on the conference phone.
Okay.
You can hear her online.
Okay. Can you?
Mute for Zoom, that way we don't get feedback.
Okay.
Online.
Mute this again.
I think I can fix it. I'll use the restroom while y'all do that.
Sherry, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Sherry?
Yes, we are here. Can you hear us?
Why is it saying unavailable?
Let me.
Yeah, I don't know either.
It's saying unavailable on this phone, David.
Yeah, message from Chris right then was use the conference phone, which is what you're trying to do.
Okay.
Like, it's not connected and able to do anything, or?
It's saying initializing network.
Okay, since it was just plugged in, it might take a minute or two. I don't know.
I'll stop pushing buttons. Okay.
It's over there. Can you?
Hello?
Sherry?
Yes,
Hey, it's Jason with Linn County.
great. I'm glad you called. We can see you and hear you.
Okay. Can you turn on, or can you mute?
Yes, I just muted it.
Okay. Okay, just a second and Danny will be back and we can go through.
Okay, sorry about that.
It's okay.
I'm not sure what's going on.
Here we get it.
Yep. Sherry's on there.
Hi, Sherry. This is Danny. And you got Jason and Jim here. I don't know if they already told you that or not.
I don't know, there's a little bit of an echo. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. This is Sherry Hudstead with East Central Kansas Area Agency on Aging. It's really echoing here.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because of the mic.
I think it is because of the mic.
Okay, I'm off, I think off the Zoom now, so can you hear me okay?
Yes, we still got you.
Okay, we'll just go through the phone. I'm the fiscal manager at East Central Kansas Area Agency on Aging. And I have Candy here with me. She's the assistant fiscal manager. And Leslie's on a much deserved vacation. So we're kind of stepping in for her. Our request this year is for $45,000, which is the same amount as last year. We do not have an increase. $13,500 is for the agency budget, and $31,500 is for the nutrition budget. And obviously, food prices have gone up, gas has gone up. I mean, a lot of expenses have gone up, but this year, we still had some of our ARPA COVID funding, and so that's how we have sustained all the expenses through the year. And so we made the decision not to request additional funding for this next year. I think, do you have a copy of the sheet Leslie sent with providing you some of the numbers?
Did you send that on out, David?
I haven't seen anything, I don't think.
You did not get anything. I think she sent it to Jason.
I forwarded it to David
Okay.
this morning.
Okay.
This morning?
Well, and I can kind of run through some of this with you. On there, it showed what we had done thus far in 2024, and then there were numbers for the full year for 2023. And just going through a few, in 2023, we served 18,146 meals between congregate and home delivered. And it was pretty close to a 50-50 split between those two programs. And we're on track in fiscal year 2024 to serve about the same number of meals, a little over 18,000 meals. For 2023, and I'm going to look at this as full year, we did assessments and we do care assessments. This is for individuals to be able to go into a nursing home. We have brain injury, physical disability, and frail elderly assessments that we do. Senior care assessments, which is that we do the assessment to determine their needs and then to put them on services and help them with like attendant care, homemaker. We'll purchase custom care items like maybe incontinence supplies, mobility supplies, whatever items they might need for them to continue to stay in their home. We did Medicare assistance through the SHIC program, which is to help people enroll in the drug plans, and also just to determine what they need, like if they need a supplemental or advantage plan. We do public education, outreach, and options counseling. Like options counseling is just basically anyone who calls in, and if they have a question, we go through the different options that are available. And if it's something we can't help them with, then we let them know where they can go to get assistance. We did Medicaid application assistance, provide legal service through the Kansas Legal Service attorney, and then also caregiving for just anyone who has a caregiver. Many times it could be a spouse, or it could be maybe a son or daughter taking care of their parent. So we provide services for that, possibly like respite. Someone can come in their home for a few hours so that they are able to just get out and maybe run errands or something like that. We also provided some homemaker service and attendant care service in the caregiver program. And then one of the services that's really utilized is lifeline units. We do that for, let's see, in Linn County, it looks like last year we had 31 clients that took advantage of that. So we did a total of, or assistance to close to 1,000 people. And then we did 250 assessments, and that was in 2024. We started a voucher program in Paola, and we've had at the Paola Price Chopper. So it's an additional location where they can go and have a congregate meal, and that is going well. We just started that like very end of May. So we've had just a little over a month of serving meals through the Price Chopper. We are still trying to get a voucher program going in Parker at the One Stop. And she is interested in doing it, but she just wasn't ready at this time. So we're still kind of waiting to hear back from her and get that started. Currently, we have a driver delivering to the homebound in the Parker area, and also for some congregate participants. That's just kind of a highlight of some of the services we're providing. Do you have any additional questions?
So when you do these assessments, is it case by case, or do you go to the mill sites and talk to them, or do they call you, or how does that work?
The assessments, we do assessments for anyone for the homebound meal program. We do those assessments. The other assessments are based on someone calling in and saying they need, like if they call up and they say, you know, my mom is not doing well and we need someone to come in and clean her home, or we need someone to come in and give her a bath, then we'll go out and do an assessment. And then we determine what they need and what we can do to help them. But then we also have the meal assessment, and that's for someone, because to receive a homebound meal, for us to deliver the meal to their house, they have to be homebound. So we do the assessment and determine if they are homebound. If they're not, they can go to a congregate site and get a meal there. So we do assessments on that. So basically, any service they're going to get, majority of the service, there are a few, like the caregiver program, it doesn't have to be, or the SHIC prescription drug programs, they would not require an assessment. But to go on any of our other services, they would need an assessment, and that's kind of through the state of Kansas. They have to have assessment and meet criteria. Like the senior care program has a copay. So based on income, they could have a copay for the services. The OAA does not have a copay requirement. It's a donation-based, just like the meals are, which is donation-based.
So compared to
Did that answer your question?
yeah, so compared to other counties that are about our size, are our numbers pretty comparable? Are we utilizing it to the fullest?
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, we actually kind of looked through that, and yeah, it is pretty evenly split about the funding received and the amount of services provided.
So the 18,000 meals, with the 31,500, we're basically paying $1.75. And like we deliver to homes, correct, Sherry? But
Yes, we do.
with using volunteers on the non-home
Well,
route, or
we have drivers that they drive the meals to the different location sites out of the kitchen. They do deliver some of the meals also to houses. And then we have volunteers that do help, like with probably the local in-town meals, volunteers that will help with that. But yeah, we do have drivers, a driver hired to go to Linn County and bring all those meals.
so the meals cost more than that $1.75, right?
Oh, a lot more than that $1.75.
Right.
Yeah, they're probably, I would guess costs are going to go up considerably this year because we were utilizing ARPA funding, which is not included in the cost we do in our program, but I'm guessing maybe could be close to $9 because you've got the cooks, the transportation, the food.
And where does your other funding source for that come from?
For the meals?
Yes.
Through the federal and the state. Federal and state, yes. And then, like I said, we utilize ARPA funding. For the last 3 years, we've had COVID funding, and that's really helped us get through these high-cost inflationary times with all the expenses going up and everything. We would have been in trouble without the COVID funding.
So in 2026, are you looking at a dramatic raise and everything, or what?
Well, it just depends on, what the state does. I don't know if there'll be any additional funding or not, but yes, it is going to be different without the additional funding. But one of the things we did do with the funding was, we purchased some vehicles. We bought, there was some repairs and equipment needed at the kitchen. So it really helped to hopefully get us kind of up to maybe some of those expenses won't be needed for a while. Took care of some of those kind of expenses that are not every year, but that are going to happen. So that kind of helped us so that then the budget continued to take care of, the food and the labor. And we did buy some food with COVID funding, though. We bought a lot of the trays are very expensive that you deliver those home delivered meals in, those trays, individual trays. And so we purchased a lot of that through the COVID funding, and we've also stocked up to hopefully last us a little bit into the next year too, because it's really a pretty big expense.
I think when I first became a commissioner, we had approved a vehicle. How did that play into the budget? Does that still play a factor into the number you're asking?
Yes. Well, the problem is these vehicles, driving on, and we're trying to do a little less of that on rural roads. The miles pile up pretty fast, and they wear down pretty fast, the vehicles. And I think we are, Leslie was saying, maybe one of the only AAAs that will drive on actually gravel roads, because it really does wear on the vehicle.
What's the how many more years are you expecting to use that vehicle that Linn County purchased as part of our budget?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look. I'd have to get back with you on that to know the number of miles on that one.
When the time
For
comes,
sure.
do you think you guys would be asking for that to happen again?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we try to take care of things the best we can through the budget. I mean, we're doing things constantly to try to help save funds, and we're hoping that we wouldn't specifically have to ask for funds for a vehicle, but I just don't know how it's going to work out with us no longer receiving COVID funding.
Right.
Are we actively recruiting restaurants for the voucher system still, or how is that working?
Well, and the way we kind of got into the voucher system, which is what happened, is when you start looking at what all you pay out and the number of meals you serve, it is maybe more expensive than just paying for a voucher meal. And so that's why anywhere we have a good site in that location, we really don't necessarily want to add a voucher program. So it's not like we're wanting to add them everywhere, but it is one of the things we looked at, depending on every location, of which is more feasible cost-wise. What is the most economical way to continue to provide the meals? And so that's really on a case-by-case location to determine that, because some of these locations that we have across our 6 counties, if they're serving very few meals and you pay a site manager and maybe, you might have a phone. Some of them had rent in some of the other counties. Some of those, it became that the cost per meal was just way too high to rationalize doing that. And so that's where some of the voucher programs have come in, because we can do it less expensively, because then you don't have the transportation to get the meal there, the meal's at the location. And so that's the reason for doing some of the voucher meals.
And does the site managers pay come out of this fund too, right? Or this budget?
Yes, it does. Yes. The site manager's pay comes out of there. Yes. So that would be another expense.
Do you happen to have exactly how many elderly we have enrolled in the program that we take care of countywide?
Let me see if this has, I might be able to pull up a spreadsheet. Let me see, just a minute. It would be for last year.
Okay.
Just a second. Total people. Okay, it looks like 1,493 people receiving assistance.
That's for both or either or?
Yeah, kind of everything. Let me see. Trying to see if that included everything. And I could check that over again to make sure that that's including everything at all, everything completely. What is this? Yeah, and That's what I have right here that I can look at.
So not all the people take the meals, they just do the
No,
extra
no,
care good?
there's every scenario possible. Some people do the meals, homemaker, attendant care, receive custom care items, lifeline. Other people might do, we have a lot of people that do meals only.
Right.
Yeah.
So that works out where we're paying $30.14 per person that's being served.
What, 30 what?
$30.14 per person being served for the entire 45,000. If we divide it by the 1493 per year.
You guys got any more questions for?
I don't.
I think you provided really good information, and thank you for that. That's helps me understand better, and I wasn't aware that there was
Okay.
many people.
And let us know if there's any additional information you want from us. We appreciate the funds, and it does help us keep our seniors in their homes longer, which is where they usually want to be. And so it provides valuable service.
All right. Well, thank
Thank
you,
you, Sherry.
for what you guys do.
Well, thank you so much.
Good. You guys got any
Bye.
More? All right.
Bye.
See ya. You guys got any more questions?
Do you have any other questions?
I don't have any more for you. Do you guys?
Nope.
Nope.
Thank you, Sherry.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
So that's not a separate budget for us. That's just part of our elderly fund budget. So we've got those amounts
Already plugged
calculated
in.
in it.
And didn't we hold off on that approving it, or did we just
We
want to
did.
get info?
I don't remember without looking back at all of them, but
We did. We didn't approve it. So like, Danny, you had mentioned at one time the sheriff providing meals.
Mhm.
I think if we start to see our cost increase go up closer to what he's telling us he's paying, then that can become something that we look at,
Right.
you know, but as long as it's staying,
$30-some for the year per person. So
we're not going to be able to,
$3 a month.
yeah, we're not going to be able to match that by moving it. And I'm not saying that that's not something we need to be thinking about, because I think we do.
I think the numbers were great that she provided. Opened my eyes up on a lot of it. I know there was 1,493 people that were taking care of or taking advantage of that program. So that's impressive to me. So she gave us really good information.
And like, along the lines of the ARPA funds and things that way, you know, we are making those changes like we did with the Parker site.
And not all that's gonna be meals anyway, because like she said, a lot of it's just the home visits and things that they're
Correct.
taking care of for that. Yeah.
Correct. But like on the meal side, we are trying to watch those things so that it's not going to be a huge increase when it does happen. You know, we're trying to be proactive, knowing that we have a hole there, trying to make sure that it's not gonna bankrupt the program like it did when it was Mid-America Nutrition.
Right.
so looking back at the minutes, the elderly budget request was 233,000, which was a $8,980 decrease from the current year. If you guys are ready to take action on that one.
How much was it again, David?
233,000.
I think that was information I was looking for, why I held off on it. So I'm good with it if you guys are.
Sounds good to me.
Jim, you good with it?
I'm good.
I'll make a motion that we tentatively approve the elderly fund budget at 233,000.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. David, you got anything right now?
I do not.
I think I spoke with Sean. I think he was getting ready to leave. I think I'd personally like to hold on until next week. I think there's a lot of things that only he can answer. What do you guys think?
I agree.
I think that's all I have left on there today.
So I had emailed Goldberg about like district court, but I have not heard back from him. So I'm gonna try to just call him personally.
Okay.
And try to get him to answer.
On soundproof and.
Yeah. And I talked to a few people within the county that stated, it might just be like a strip underneath the door or something. So I think Goldberg can help us out on that. And so I'm going to just personally reach out to him by phone instead. I tried to email, I haven't heard back. So,
okay.
I also reached out to Rosin Preservation again about the courthouse over here. They're looking into it. She's kind of been working with me to try to get a plan together. They had stated about the roof and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to get a plan together exactly what we need to do or should do moving forward with present a plan to the state, which they don't really tell you yes or no. They just want to see what you're doing on a historic building. So she's the professional in that. So I'm going to reach out to her and I'll get an email. I'll send it over to David and he can forward it on and we can talk about it.
That'll be good.
We talked here a few weeks ago about doing an evening meeting once a month. Was there any pros and cons to that, David? I know that you wanted to look into it.
Well, I think at the moment, if you're just going to try it out, you would want to at some point make a motion to reschedule whichever meeting that is to a different time. And because I believe if you're going to change your whole schedule at some point, we probably ought to have some type of resolution on it, but just for an individual meeting, you could just do like we do on holidays and reschedule the regular meeting for a different time and date or different time.
Do you guys want to try to do it once a month for 3 or 4 months and see what kind of activity we get?
I'm fine with that.
I'm good with that.
What time you guys think?
5:30 or something. 5 or 5:30. And 5 would be okay, I guess. I mean, in there somewhere.
David, what time do you usually get done during the day?
This time of year, it's 6 o'clock a lot of nights, but that's normally it's more like 5.
And are you wanting to start on the 29th?
I think so, yeah. What are you good with that?
Good with it.
See how it goes.
Maybe give everybody that has to be involved a little bit of breaks, maybe like 5:30, call it start time.
It's fine with me.
So July 29th at 5:30 will be our first evening meeting. We'll try it for 3 months. You guys good with that?
Yep.
All right, well, I'll make a motion that for the next 3 months, we do a one time a month evening meeting at 5:30, starting the 29th of July.
It'll be the last Monday of each month
Yep, for 3 months.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Motion been moving, seconding, more discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So with it being a special meeting, or is that considered a special meeting then?
No, you're rescheduling the regular meeting, so then it's still open to all topics. You don't have to be specific like you do with a special.
Should we run an ad in the paper about it, notice in the paper or anything like that? Mark, can you write an article, a good one on it? It's important.
Non-committal.
That was a yes, I think, right? Yeah. All right.
And I'm sorry, I was trying to type all that in. Who, did you second, Jim or Jason?
Jim did. Okay.
So looks like we'll be moving Sean with continue the road conversation, solid waste budgets till next week.
Right.
And I should have a whole pile of them for next week. I've been doing budgets for townships and libraries and everything else, and then I had some meetings last week and was gone for a while, so I didn't get any ready for today, but I've still got several to go.
Okay.
I know Sean's not here to discuss anything about the roads, but you know, where's our starting point on? What do you guys think? How do you guys feel? I wish Tom wouldn't have left. He had a good plan, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway, any input? Like it on a tractor, by the way.
Yeah. I'm not sure where to start on that.
If you look at our comprehensive plan that we built for the county and spent a lot of time and effort on, and we use it to determine uses and permits and whatnot, it does state that that the county does want a county administrator. So I don't know if that's where we start, and then we have one person over the public works, and then like a lead man each shop. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that's what we need to do, but I'm just throwing out ideas.
So what would we need to look at kind of to determine the county admin? Could we find out, David, how many counties of our size have admins and don't?
Put the question out.
Actually, I have an email about that, actually. I have it. Sure. It's a,
I mean, you're going to want to look at what duties are you thinking about transferring to an administrator, because that can vary greatly, different counties also.
Okay.
so these are all.
Well, and that was why I was thinking we needed to kind of look at what other counties were doing.
I got an email right here from, it's from the Kansas Commissioners, kansascounties.org. And it just, it actually came up last night, and a bunch of counties to state if they have a administrator or not, or why they do or they don't.
So
I can forward this on and you guys can read their responses.
Okay.
Like right here, this is regarding counties with the county administrator. So just really.
So Wyandotte, Johnson, Leavenworth, Douglas, Franklin, Miami, Pottawatomie, Dickinson County, Saline, McPherson, Sedgwick, Butler, Cowley, Harvey County, Reno County. Seward County, Ford County, Finney County,
24, so.
Ellsworth, what's RS?
Russell.
Russell, Ellis, Russell, and BT, Barton.
Martin County.
Most of those that you named are quite a bit bigger than we are.
They are.
I don't remember hearing you say it, but I'm pretty sure Coffee County has an administrator, and they are similar size to us.
Okay.
Franklin is again quite a bit bigger, but they
Right.
they have one.
One county, or Marion County, says we created a position last year and we have made we have made many improvements in Marion County and are with a stones throw and hit revenue neutral without cutting any services. But right here, it's a email thread that I'm on.
Yeah, Marion, I know, had just started. Their former clerk resigned as clerk and got the job as county administrator. And she was, well, I mean, I think she was offered the job and then resigned. But that one I didn't know about. That was a recent one.
And Marion is similar in size to us as well.
You talking population specific?
Yes. They're a little over what? They're 10, 11, something like that, I want to say. So a little bit bigger than us, but not double our size.
Although Brooks County here, it comes down to the quality of the clerk and their staff. So an administration needed. For consistency, might be a needed budget item. That was their response.
Along with that, you'll want to, I mean, it's going to depend on what duties you're talking about for an administrator, but start thinking about what kind of salary it would take to get a person to do that and what kind of staff they would need to have, which again is all related to the duties they're going to take over.
So, you know, as your position, David, you do a lot of stuff as an admin that really your next person that comes in behind you doesn't necessarily have to do, correct?
Well, that's true. Yeah. But like I said, if you're going to have someone else doing a lot of those things, they're going to have some staff supporting them, I'll be sure. But that's where I think you need to really look into what duties you'd be talking about and what kind of time and staff requirements that would take.
Because that's going to affect what it's going to cost.
Mm-hmm.
But will it help our turnover rate and our tension, help us move forward? Is it forward thinking? I mean, that's where I'm getting at. I don't think we should hire one tomorrow, I don't think, but I mean, if David, I mean, with Jessica resigning now, there's a lot of duties that she does for Sean that's going to be put back on Sean, I believe. That's beyond road and bridge.
Let's try to look at Marion and Coffee counties and see what duties they have their people doing. Kind of, can we get some information on those? Does that sound like a path forward, Jim?
Maybe you should check in and see. Not certain I'm for the administrator because, like you say, what you get, it's going to take a lot of support group.
Right. You know, I'm just throwing out the idea to, you know, if it is something that.
I'm open to discussing it, Dan.
Tom, do you okay with that? We all need a laugh every now and again, right?
I was just looking at population numbers here, and I don't remember what all that list was you had, but just example, I remember you said Barton, that's a 25,000 population.
Yeah. So what is Marion County?
Yeah, let me scan down the list here. Coffee's 8250, so they're a little smaller than we are in population. Marion. Marion is 11,690, so they're a couple thousand more than us.
And I don't know if it's the right way or the wrong way. I know that the comp plan talks about it. I think we should give it the attention that it deserves and find out the facts and make a decision based off of that. That's kind of what I'm not saying we need one of these.
Reno is over 60,000. That's not a good comparison to what we'd be doing.
I'm thinking it's Coffee and Marion that's going to be our closest.
Yeah, like I said, I don't remember what all those counties were you named off, but
I'm going to forward this email
Okay.
to you, David, and if you want to forward it to them.
Sure.
They can just look at responses and
is Thomas one of them on the list?
It wasn't on the map.
Okay.
executive secretary. Just another word for.
Okay, so let's look into it a little more. Right?
I would like to just say we did our duty with some forward thinking.
Okay.
Any more input on the roads, anything like that? Or is that for another day? Anything, Jim?
I'm not pleased with where they're at yet. I don't know whether we go to contract portion of it and see what happens. I guess we can go out to bids and see what we could get.
We can look at it. What are we gonna contract?
Pardon me?
What are we gonna contract? The ditch cleaning?
We could start there. I guess we could pick a portion of the county and contract the whole thing, just say, gravel. As far as the maintenance of it, cleaning the ditches.
I think you may get different people interested in different parts of that, depending on what kind of equipment and experience they have.
Right.
And I know one gentleman I was talking to was, well, I mean, he had several concerns, but some of it would be how, you know, if we're talking long-term or just a specific time, because he wouldn't want to lose some of his other business he's doing if he devotes his time to this for a while and then all of a sudden it goes away. So, I mean, those are some things to think about too.
Let's kick it around and see what we think as far as what we need, where we can start, how we can try to start building something for us to dip our toe in and see how it works.
I mean, me personally, I'd like to see the asphalt go out for contract, but I would like to, all three barns,
You mean the chip and seal?
or yeah, whatever. I would like to see, I don't know, people designated for a piece of equipment or a cruise and put them straight on it and see how that works. And if that doesn't work, then we move on to trying to do some kind of contract. You know, that's what I was trying to utilize the budget as, is an opportunity for them to come in here and tell us what they needed. Because that was the first time that I heard that Todd couldn't do anything because he didn't have a skid steer. Well, okay, well, let's figure a plan out. Maybe let's go lease one. What's it going to cost? We have a special equipment fund to go lease one. Why is that not being done?
Didn't we deny him earlier in the year for a skid steer?
To buy one, yeah. That was before the storm, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
I mean, if he can't do the plan that we had all agreed on, then I think we should have known about it and we didn't. I mean, don't you agree? People can sit here and say, you know, we keep talking about it. Well, it's not really our job to go micromanage each barn, but if that's what we got to do, I feel like that we need to do it. And
That's why I think we'd be better off if we went to one road boss to where it was over the whole county and we could utilize the equipment that we have, just like having the two tractors to pull the low boys around. I think one would be sufficient in the county.
just have the barns as like designated stop areas or what, or like clock out areas, and
We'd still have the locations and put like a leadman in each shop.
Just a reconfiguration.
Pardon me?
Just a reconfiguration.
Then we don't have one guy deciding, to clean ditches out and the other one wants to use Trico. I mean, it's just, we're all on the same page of what we're doing. We utilize our equipment.
yeah. And I mean, I'd like to, if our idea's not working, and we can sit up here all day and shout out ideas, but if we don't get the feedback from what's happening, then I don't understand how we're supposed to make all this work, which is how I feel right now that it goes. I heard a lot of stuff on last Monday when we all got a conversation about it, but that was the first time I've heard a lot of that stuff. So
We're not getting the feedback. I mean, there's too many things going on in this county that we don't even hear about. And that's, if it isn't somebody that drives by and tells us, I don't feel we're getting the information we need. And ultimately, it falls back on us three.
I agree.
That it does.
Blame you guys, actually. Just kidding.
It's fun.
No, I don't do that. The joke, laugh.
Okay.
So do we want to, next week when Sean comes in and talks about the road budgets, do we want to all sit down and have a conversation, talk about our expectations, what we want to see? I mean, there's always going to be excuses of why we can't do something. I think we have to pick a starting point and we just go.
Well, let's kick it around. And I'm thinking, I'll tell you where I'm at. I mean, I've said it long, and I'd like to go to one guy over the whole county and split it out. And I mean, that's where the direction I'd like to go.
think on it and finish that discussion next week.
I think we have to move fast on it because it's,
Needs to be taken care of.
Well, let's think about it through the week, and next week, let's come up and let's decide what we're gonna do next week and go.
just we'll write up an exact plan of how we want to do it and present it. Is that what you guys,
Fine.
you good with that?
I'm good with it.
I think that's a starting point. We write down maybe our expectations, our operation, plan of operation, how we think it should
How
happen.
you think we wanna set it up, and
And then we just put all our 3 ideas together and come up with one big plan. And then that's where we'll start. Good with that?
I am.
I am.
Tom? Gotta laugh, guys, gotta laugh. All right. David, you got anything else?
Nope.
Anybody have anything else? All right, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion been moving, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry,
Yeah, what?
the bills and